really, 95% of the time, the artists are the architects of their own demise. Take responsibility for what you do and understand its value in the market. I'm there to minimise the risk in their investment.
In partnership with Australian Institute of Music and Hunting with Pixels.
If anyone wants to be prepared to perhaps be in a situation as a musician, as a working session musician, to work with you, what should they have ready when they come to see you?
Their head. You know, I mean, for me, it's going to be a given that their skills are there. That's why I called them. I've asked around. Mm-hmm. Are they any good? Can they play? Can they hang? All right? Yeah, they're good. You know, they're better at this than that, but they're good. Then I'm going to expect that. I'm going to expect that they, you know, have pride and all those things in what they do. Mm-hmm. And if they don't respect the work and all of that stuff, and to be blunt, the fact that I'm in charge, you know, and that there's an authority beyond me, which is the song, right? Then that person doesn't get hired. They just don't. Producers want musicians who come in and go, all right, what do we got? Okay, here's what's cool. Oh, really, you don't like that? And at that point, when I go, I want to try something else, they don't go, Right, they go, cool. And they stop and they listen. And then they apply that again, right? Now, there are producers who are better and worse at that, at saying, that didn't work for me. You know, there's ways for a producer to say that, because you have to recognise in the musician, okay, I see where their strength is, let's get that, right? But really, it's like engineers. Their skills have to be a given, right? That they know what they're doing sonically, that's a given. It's not about any of that, it's about this, all right? It's the personal space, it's the knowing when to shut up, all right? And when to say something. It's being ahead of, you know, for engineers, it's being ahead of the producer. I know what you want, there it is, right? Well, musicians a bit too. It's just like listening, like that. Now, some musicians are so phenomenally talented that there's a degree of arrogance that comes with that. That's fine. But as a producer, you just weigh that up and go, yeah, I need your skills today. I'm gonna let you annoy the shit out of me. All right? Because
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's brilliant.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen too often. I generally find the cats who are just the business. It's all good. You know what I mean? So as a musician, get your head right. Understand that, you know, you're both there to achieve something. You know?
Would it be fair to say, I mean, the general economy of the music industry as a whole has kind of been on a decline, you know?
It's shot to shit.
Yeah. What do you think? What are some of the things we could do to turn that around? I mean, how do we add value back into the music making process, but also, you know, the value of music as part of society?
Well, people have to be prepared to pay for music, whether it's live or recorded. And we have to get more sensible about how much we spend making music. I mean, the 80s was just an absolute orgy of budgets. And it was ridiculous. And stupid amounts of money got spent making records. And I probably spent some of it. But copyright, owning your own copyright, not signing away. Because in the 80s, people tended to go, get a major label, they'll give you all this money and you sign all this stuff away, and then you spend all this money making a record, you don't make any of it back, and you're left with what? Nothing. You got to find a way to kind of own more of it and take responsibility for it. You know, it's not about the evil label or the evil mate, it's none of that. You know, there's so much talk about labels and economies and stuff, and all. Common sense, man. Common sense. It's so lacking in the industry, you know. I mean, you only have to look at the TV shows and the things some people say to know that common sense is so lacking. If you sign your stuff away, you're signing it away. That's it. If you take the money, it's not a free ride. If you sign that so they'll give you bigger advance, it's an advance, right? So it really is helpful for people to understand the independent model and building your own economy and only spending what you've got. You earn $100, you spend $100. You build it. So really what's happened with the collapse of the industry and the economy in the industry is it's gone back to being a cottage industry again. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all right. If that's what's needed, to ultimately sort of shake out the fact that people spend too much money making records, that's fine, right? It is hard to make, it's hard to make a living out of it. And I've never expected to make money out of what I do, ever, because I was such a long time poor. We were a long time poor, dirt poor, and I just hung in because that's all I knew how to do. And I hung in long enough to get enough phone calls that meant I could scrape a living. But, I think taking responsibility, what we can do as music is not blame other people. Take responsibility for what you do and understand its value in the market.
So getting educated about the whole process.
Ignorance is the enemy of taking creativity to the market. Get real, get informed, and then go about it. But don't blame other people. Grown adults who can't take responsibility for their actions is like my pet. Hey, it's just like, come on. Really? You're blaming the label, you're blaming the audience, you're blaming the video, come on. Really, 95% of the time, the artists are the architects of their own demise. That's the truth. No one else. The artists are perfectly capable of ruining their own careers. Because they'll say, oh, that manager did me wrong. But they don't talk about all the times the managers stop them making the most horrible mistake. And they hate the manager for that, for stopping them doing what they want to do. But that never gets mentioned. It's just the time that they ruined my career. I'm sounding a little cynical, but it's true. Like choosing the wrong goddamn song or not picking the right song when it's in front of you. And it's like Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? I hate that song. I'm never singing that song because Tina's a hard rocker. She likes it tough. That's that Nancy pop song. I'm not singing that song. Roger Davies, her manager, going, sing that song. Right? Boom. Whole new career. Right? Listening. Surround yourself with, be realistic. Surround yourself with good people. Always take responsibility for what you're doing. And that's the way out. There's no other way.
What do you think the general public perception of a musician or a music maker is?
You're either lazy or lucky, depending on how. That guy's that Eric Clapton, what a lucky cat. Yeah. Right? Oh, if you're not successful, you're a lazy bum. People like success. Yeah. What are you a musician for? That's not a real job.
Usually get the, so what do you do what's your day job kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you, even when the Rockies were making their second album, I still had a day job. We were poor. All those budgets went into the records.
So that brings up another question. So you've got a lot of highlights in your career, spanning a long time. What are some of when you had the lowlights? Let's call them that. What did you do how did you stay convicted to making music?
I didn't. I just stayed addicted.
Okay.
We're addicts. We're gamblers. That's all you're doing. Like I was talking about being realistic about what we do and taking. You need to come to terms with the fact that you're a gambler, because that's all we're just rolling the dice, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, why does a record company hire me, or what do I do? You ask what it is I do and what I do. I minimise risk. I'm there to minimise the risk in their investment. That's it. Like they can blow as much smoke up your ass as we think you're amazing, Bri. You made that record and it was incredible. And that's not really why they're hiring you. They're hiring you so they can say to the guy upstairs, we're using someone who knows what they're doing. And the chances are they're not going to wreck it. I mean, the most succinct, most honest brief I was ever given by an A&R guy was don't fuck it up. Right?
perfect.
There it is.
That's great.
That's it. Right? I found this great song. Don't fuck it up. That's it. That's really honest, to the point appraisal of what it is I need to do.
It's kind of refreshing to have that brief, right?
Yeah. I mean, I laugh. I was kind of taken aback when he first said it, right? And now I just think it's so spot on.
Yeah.
You know, it's more spot on than even he knew when he said it. I mean, he just happened to come from a company whose culture was brutal.
Right.
That's where that comes from. I mean, you know, they kind of eat their young at that particular label. And you probably know what I'm talking about. But it's true. They want hits. They're not there. They're not there to kind of go, oh, that's lovely, darling. They're not. They grew out of that shit a long time ago. They want hit records.
Have you ever had the other, which is someone too involved in the process and kind of stepping on your toes and you've had to navigate out of that?
Yeah. Sometimes that's the artist.
Wow, okay, that's interesting.
You know.
So that's because you're the conduit between the sort of the label and the artist to a degree. How do you still be true to the song, which is kind of your modus operandi? How do you remain true to the artist and the song, and but still have the label in the back of your head?
By being a producer.
Okay, right.
You know, I mean, that's what you do. You're juggling all those things, and then you have to within that, you have to deliver the record.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, if you want to know what happened in the music business, ask the producers, because that is exactly the juggle we have to do. And none of those other parties see the other side of the picture.
Sure.
They just have that vested interest, right? Emotional, financial, whatever, right? And the producer has to make all of that work. And that only gets really almost impossible when the song's no good. And when the song's great, suddenly all of that becomes doable.
Right.
Right? So it all comes back to the song. That's why I say it's all about the song, because it all comes back. It's like a movie made from a bad script. It's never going to get there.
Have you ever refused a job based on a bad song?
Yeah. And I've accepted jobs when I knew the song wasn't up to it because I needed the money. Man, they hurt.
Right.
Because I guarantee you'll get halfway through that and go, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it because of all those things you're saying, right? Those people's expectation on you is the same, regardless of whether it's a great song or a horrible song. Their expectation doesn't change. They want magic, and you're going, I can't polish this turd. I'm sorry. I can polish it, but it still stinks.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reality. You know. And the little voice. Here's the thing. The little voice in the back of your head that goes. That little voice. The first time you hear a song, and you're not quite sure what they're saying, but they're saying something to you, right? You better listen, because if you don't, you go, oh, that's what I was saying to myself, right? Which was, don't do it.
It's louder as the project goes on.
You know.
Well, listen, I just wanted to say thank you so much for making the time.
Pleasure.
We could speak for hours.
We could.
And we will at some point, no doubt. So I just want to say thank you very much for
You're more than welcome.
Appreciate it.
In partnership with Australian Institute of Music and Hunting with Pixels.